This movie is that good, and I just loved it. I want to watch it again and learn more about this movie. I want to learn so much more about this movie. You guys don't even understand it. But I have to wait for another day because my next review will be the movie Insomnia. I'll get to that in the next few days. It won't be like right away, like tomorrow or anything. It's gonna be a few days. But anyway, guys, you guys enjoy this review, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye, guys. Thank you to everyone out there who responded to me in my last video asking the question of what is the next film director series I should do. I had great answers and responses, and I was like, very interesting. Some I do want to do and some I definitely don't want to do, but this is the series I decided to do. I have decided I am going to do all of Christopher Nolan's films. Now, to be fair, I have reviewed a lot of his movies from the past couple years. Some of them I actually might go back and review. I don't know yet. But for now, let's go back. This is actually not his first film. I cannot find The Following anywhere, but let's go back to the year 2000. Overall, the directing, of course, is amazing because it's Christopher Nolan. The writing is such... It should have one original screenplay. The editing is amazing. Guy Pearce... He's honestly Oscar worthy if you ask me. This story is so good. I just love how this movie is told. It's so different. I've never seen a movie like this before. And it sticks with me and I want to keep watching it. And like, I honestly might have said this is one of maybe Christopher Nolan's best movie. I can't believe I've never seen it till now, but wow, what a great movie, guys. I can't recommend it. If you haven't seen Memento, you need to watch this movie. Memento. From a short story from Christopher Nolan's brother and the screenplay written and directed by Christopher Nolan comes his second film he ever directed, the first one which I just can't find anywhere. This is his film Memento, starring Guy Pearce, and honestly, a movie that I have heard so many good things about. I have never seen it until now. I do own this movie. I've owned it for a long time. I've just never watched it. I've never really watched any reviews of it. I just never got around to it. And now I thought this is the perfect time to watch this movie and give my honest opinion of this movie. And before I watched it, my dad told me, you're gonna want to watch it twice before doing your review. You can't just watch this movie once. I was like, oh, okay. So I watched it last night and I watched it today. And my God, this movie gets the title for the hardest movie to ever watch in my life. If I haven't seen the movie, I usually don't watch reviews. I usually don't. So this movie I've heard about, I know it's Christopher Nolan. I was like, I'm gonna watch it one day. I've seen all of his other films, except for this one and The Following. I've seen every other movie, but this movie was something that I just heard was amazing. I was like, it can't be, but man, was it. The basic storyline, I'm not going to get into any spoilers of this movie, but I will say this. It is a movie you gotta listen. You gotta sit down, you gotta watch it, and you're gonna want to watch it a second time. Trust me, I just experienced that. And Guy Pearce is this man who is an investigation in insurance, and then his wife is brutally raped and murdered, and he wants to find the person who did it, and he wants to kill him, and he's going to investigate the entire thing. But there's one little issue. He's got very terrible short-term memory loss. He forgets things in minutes, and he just forgets. There's literally a scene of him running from a person, and he forgets what he's doing. And he's like, am I running or am I chasing this person? From a narration. And the person shoots at him, he's like, oh, I'm running from him. He's that bad. I've never seen a movie do it this way before, and to me, honestly, it's gonna stick with me. After watching this movie, I've been thinking about it the past few days. I was like, how the hell am I gonna review this movie? And the reason why I'm not spoiling it, even though it came out 20 years ago, is I actually don't know a lot of people who've seen this movie. Heck, I didn't even see this movie until now. Obviously, I've owned it and I've heard a lot about it, and I had no idea about the twist. But first things first, I just want to go ahead and say Guy Pearce is amazing in this movie. I have never seen him as good as this movie. He's been in some really good stuff. For example, if everyone's ever seen the Christmas Carol they just did this past November, December with him and whatever, he is so good in that. But in this movie, I have to say, this is his best performance. He's outstanding. He is so good in this movie. I don't understand how he didn't get nominated for an Oscar for this movie. That's what makes this movie so good. The writing, the dialogue. It's such a smart movie, and I could not imagine editing this movie. But the thing is, the movie is told basically reversed. And again, I don't want to get into spoilers or anything, but I love how they tell the story of colored is basically backwards. Black and white is basically told in forward. Now, I do know the movie did get nominated for Best Original Screenplay and Best Editing. Those are two things this movie is really good at. The screenplay in this story is outstanding. It is so different. And again, it is the hardest movie I have ever had to watch. It's so mind-bending to this movie to an extent. I mean, I thought Inception was sometimes confusing. This movie made me watch it twice to figure out things and notice things I didn't notice the first time I was watching it, because this movie is so edited really good. To me, I didn't look at who won the Oscars for these categories, but I'm going to tell you right now, this should have won screenplay and editing, because those two things are the most amazing things in this movie. The story and the editing is so important, and I was so into this movie. Carrie-Anne Moss, who's also from The Matrix, is also in this movie. I don't really want to get a lot into her character. All I want to say is she's really good in the role. She's amazing. She is such a great person you think at first, but like I said, the editing and the story is told in a very different way that you're completely like, oh, you're that person, but you love it at the same time. Like I said, this whole movie is an investigation, and you're following this guy named Leonard, Guy Pearce, and he's got these issues, and he has like he literally tattoos himself information he needs to know for this investigation. He has these thoughts in his head of figuring out who is who. He takes literal pictures, an old camera, and keeps these pictures and writes down things that he needs to know, who he needs to trust, who he remembers, and it's all because he can't remember anything. Like, if someone asks him, where are you staying at? He has to look at the picture of the hotel that he took a picture of, and he has to tell him, I'm from here. One person in the scene, he's asking, how do I get here? And he's like, oh, you just go down the street. He's like, oh, let me write this down. He's like, oh no, it's really right down the road. He's like, no, let me write this down. I truly was amazed with this movie, and I'm gonna give it an A+.